everybody in that building is about they're about the team. There's no other agendas other than what's best for the team. I could go right up and down the coaching staff, the players, the staff, every which way you turn. I mean, there's that mindset.
That right there, Jim Harbaugh. This right here, Afternoon Live. I'm Dennis Fithian, and it's great to have you with us here. Coming up in 10 minutes from right now, former Michigan linebacker Jim Scarcelli is going to tell us about something that it's on a lot of people's sports bucket list that he's going to be able to tick off this Saturday. We'll get to that. But right out of the gate here, we will talk with Adam Schnepp, who is the senior editor for the Maize and Blue Review, and it's great to have him on. What's going on, Adam? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you, Dennis?
I'm good. Every day I think that since Sunday, I've gotten up. I've thought about, does Michigan have a chance against Georgia? And I've had different answers, the different keys here. I'll throw that one to you right off the bat here. What kind of chance do you think Michigan has against Georgia?
Sure. I've kind of woken up with the same questions every day. I just finished a 3-part series. That's just a first look at Georgia with stats and, digging into their Pro Football Focus numbers. And got to say, it looks like the defense is as good as advertised. And their offense is quality, but kind of reminds me of Michigan's offense. A little bit of a mirror image there. Georgia, I like Michigan's defense against Georgia's offense as a matchup. Georgia is the kind of team that uses their tight end extensively. He's our leading receiver. The receivers are all, I think, quality, but a little bit like Michigan, who steps up and has a big game just sort of depends on the day. And they rotate running backs as well, sort of like Haskins and Corum. Michigan's offense against Georgia's defense, it's hard to bet against Michigan's offense at this point. That defense also structurally looks a little bit similar to Michigan's, so they might get some looks similar to what they're kind of used to. It's more of a 3-4, or sometimes even like a 2-4-5. But Dennis, I don't know. I'm not ready for prediction season yet because gotta dig into the matchups a little bit more. But it's going to be tough. I think it's doable, but tough.
Is there anywhere when you look at those Pro Football Focus grades, like, Jordan Davis, he's 6'6", 370, Godzilla, number 99, and
right.
He's been impressive. The linebackers look like, their sideline, they look awesome. All of them look like NFL types. Safeties and corners have made some plays here.
Yes.
I watched that first game against Clemson, and the big play was, I think the safety got a fumble or a pick six going the other way. Mm-hmm. That was it. So I don't know. Is there any weak spots in that defense that you see?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're right about the linebackers being sideline to sideline guys. They also they're able to essentially walk down into the box. They're good run defenders too, and they're able to come off the edge as well. Georgia's defense, as far as quarterback pressures go, they just don't have anyone of the caliber of Ojabo or Hutchinson. They kind of spread that out a little bit more. If I remember right, they've got like 4 guys with somewhere between 20 and 25 pressures on the year. Hutchinson is at like 70 something and Ojabo's over 40. And so I would think you may not have Caden McNamara running for his life, which is great because he operates well with a clean pocket. I think that it's going to be tough to run the ball on them, but looking at their safeties and their corners, they're good, but essentially by good, I mean, they don't allow anything after the catch, but they do allow receptions. If I remember right, the reception rates on those guys are pretty much average for what you see or what I've been seeing as I look at numbers for other Big Ten teams as well. It's not unusual for a corner to allow catches on about 50 to 60% of targets. And those guys were in there. I don't remember a guy on the back end there that really stood out as far as interceptions or pass breakups go. They're very solid. They keep everything in front of them. But that also means you can move down the field that way. So it's not a full-on weakness, but I think you might be able, especially with Michigan having as many playmakers as they do, to move the ball in the air.
Clearly, if you watch Alabama, they did have some success in a lot of different things, and the quarterback being able to run on them. It's one of the reasons that I feel good about Michigan's chances is actually how they played their last two games. But I think that run defense, you have to go all the way back to when Michigan took on Wisconsin, the thing that will be the most similar when you talk about a run defense. And I was just looking at it. Neither Corum or Haskins had 50 yards against the Badgers and 34 carries between the two. So I don't think Michigan's going to abandon the run. They're just not going to be as effective, and it's going to be tough sledding. And hopefully it's still, they could pick up the 3rd and 1s or the 4th and 1s and, maybe 3rd and goal. To get down there, but expecting them to run roughshod over the Dogs, I mean, that's not going to happen.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. Like you said, they just have to be able to get 1 to 3 yards when they need it to keep the offense on track and keep them from getting behind the sticks. And that's, like you said, Wisconsin, great comparison. I would expect numbers to be similar to that.
Yeah. All right. So we've had a sample size of 9 games, right, for Michigan basketball. They're 6-3. These last 2 games, maybe they played their best basketball, which is a good sign. They had a young team. They have a young team. So, maybe they are emerging. They've shot really well from outside these last 2 games. Let me give you something that you're maybe surprised about, or maybe not so surprised. I'll ask you about the surprising aspect here through 9 games. What you've seen from Juwan Howard's team.
Sure. The surprising thing for me would be how difficult it's been to get some of the ball screens to work. I guess the thing that doesn't surprise me is that the 3 balls are starting to fall now. At some point, there are some 3-point shooters on this team, and their averages were going to rise back up after having some bad games there. Caleb Houston in particular comes to mind, right? And other guys just weren't taking the shot when it was there, maybe like Brandon Johns. And now you're seeing a couple things, I think. First of all, Hunter Dickinson. What surprised me was kind of how up and down he had been over the last, I want to say, about 4 games. But when he was locked in against Nebraska, look at how much that opened up for the offense with his passing out of the post. You have a guy who is that talented, not just at backing down, Nebraska's front court, but at then finding cutters or finding the open guy. And that just changes the offense completely for them.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to flip a switch. I think it's going to be a process. And so I don't think they're just going to continue to shoot well. And, and hopefully that'd be the case and everything. And different guys find their roles. And we see Zeb Jackson coming back. But I was just looking at the schedule. It seems to me they still have about a month before they really have to be hitting on all cylinders. I mean, they've got this game against Minnesota. I watched them play against Michigan State last night. I mean, that's a doable game. Then they drop back and they play South Utah and Purdue Fort Wayne, and then they got to go to Central Florida. Those seem all winnable. Maybe one of those teams, like, I don't know much about any of those clubs. Maybe they jump up and bite them or whatever else. But even then, they got a game after that. They go to Rutgers, and Scarlet Knights were pretty good last year. It's a road Big Ten game. So maybe. But then it starts, when they get into the new year. They got Michigan State. They've got Purdue. And there's going to be no more, well, let's see what Devontae Jones can do. They've got to be ready to go by then. So, but the good news is they still have a little bit of time here.
That's very true. And I completely agree with you that I think this is going to be a much more up and down season as some of the younger guys and some of the newer guys get acclimated and start to sort of find their roles in this offense. And on defense as well. I guess I should talk about that too. I thought that Michigan defended better. I mean, I know Nebraska is not exactly a world beater, but there were fewer open looks from 3 than there had been. So as we see these guys start to take steps, this is a good month to be a little bit up and down and probably still come out with some wins, like you were saying.
All right, Adam, finally, what would you have been doing on New Year's Eve 21? What are you doing now?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I would have been doing, I think we were just going to do something with the family. What I will be doing is trying to get my 3 takeaways piece done as quick as humanly possible, knowing that then there are going to be press conferences to cover, that there are going to be stories to be written from that. So what I will be doing is sitting on my laptop trying to put out something interesting for people to read.
Yeah, I kind of imagine myself just looking at the timing with a 7:30. They don't start at 7:30. If it was anything like they came on Fox, which started at like 17 minutes past 8 o'clock.
Right.
These press conferences that you're talking about could get pretty close to midnight. I somehow picture Jim Harbaugh, and if it's a celebratory type press conference, being up there and ringing in the new year up there. Hey, happy new! I don't know, like it could be close.
I think you're right. I think it's going to be. I think that's it.
I might be sitting right here, celebrate New Year's, and look at it, Happy New Year, and hopefully, you could say it's either going to be, hey, Happy New Year, everybody, or it's going to be Happy New Year. So we're hoping for the latter there. Hey,
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time, and in 3 weeks from Friday, is when it's happening. It's it's a lot of time, for this team, but a lot of things to think about and talk about. We'll continue to do that, and we'll read your stuff there on the Maize and Blue Review to get us all ready. And once in a while, we'll bring you on here. Adam, we appreciate your time.
Sounds good. Thanks, Dennis. Appreciate you.
Thank you. It's fun talking with you. There he is, Adam Schnepp. He is the senior editor of the Maize and Blue Review, and a guy who is also part of the Maize and Blue Review who, you have bucket lists in life and in sports. You have those. On my sports bucket list, I was going to the Kentucky Derby, going to the Rose Bowl, which is something that I was able to tick off a long time ago. And going to the Army-Navy game would also be on my bucket list. And Jim Scarcelli is going to New Jersey to watch that game coming up this Saturday. He joins us right now here. Scar, how are you?
I'm great. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're leaving tomorrow. We're going to fly into Philly, and the game is in New Jersey. And we got a good little weekend plotted out. And it's a tough ticket to get, Danny. Army-Navy game ticket is tough, and my brother's got a guy that he coached that went there to the Naval Academy, and he's got some tickets, and we are excited, man. I love that kind of football. A lot of people are bored with the option and what they do. I love it. I love watching it. There's so much coaching and strategy going on there, and it's a fast game because all they do is run. But yeah, I am looking forward to it and fired up.
Yeah, I don't know about the history about civilians getting into the game, but you're talking about it being a tough ticket. I mean, it's tough if you are a civilian. You do have to know somebody that's in the service to get in there. It's not like just me. I can get online. I don't think and buy those tickets. I mean, you do have to know somebody to get in there.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been trying to go for a long time. I've known different people in the military, and they tried and this and that, and but finally we got we got it happening here, and we are excited. So it's Army's favorite, but who knows what's going to happen in that game.
Well, Scar, you know what? Are you going to be somebody like you're just going to go in there with a cut off shirt? Football. I guess this is it. This is a throwback, or are you going to bring a coat?
No, it's normally really cold for that game because it's in December, but it's going to be seasonably warm, but I will have a little Michigan jacket on, representing. So I'll be representing the Maize and Blue.
There you go. Well, enjoy your time. That should be awesome. That is something that a lot of people. Whenever I get a chance, there's over the last few years, a lot of time it falls when I'm working, so it's difficult to watch that game. But anytime I'm off and I have a chance, it's tradition. It's college football. You get your own Saturday for it and everything else. I like it. I like how it falls this particular year because what is it? A 3:30 kickoff, and then you get Michigan basketball coming up later on, right after the game. So you got a double header. I think it's 3:30. I'm not even sure of that. I could check, I guess.
Yeah, so it's definitely one of those games. I want to be there early. I want to watch the warm-ups and all the military festivities, and then the post game and some of the things they do because I've never seen some of that. Really looking forward to just the whole experience.
Yeah, the pageantry. It is a 3:00 kickoff. I want to correct there. All right. Well, Scar, we did talk after Michigan won the Big Ten championship on Saturday night, and we didn't talk much we didn't actually, know how it was going to shake out. We had ideas that Michigan was going to play Georgia. We know now officially that they are going to. What do you think? What's your first thought here about the Georgia Bulldogs and Michigan playing in the OB, the Orange Bowl?
Having played and coached, sometimes initially your initial impression is, oh wow, these guys are incredible. They're this, that, and then I take the Alabama game. I've been looking at it, and obviously they're going against Alabama, who's pretty good. But then the more and more you look at it, it's like, they got some areas that we can attack. The thing that stands out, you can tell they have recruited well. There's not a slow on it. I mean, they are fast, big, athletic, tough, well coached. Just everything you don't want to face, they are. But watching that Alabama-Georgia game, Denny, the difference in that game was the quarterback. Alabama's kid was a good amount better than the Georgia kid. I think that was a huge difference in that game. We'll deal with that problem later on down the road. But with Georgia, there's obviously their defense is good. I don't think we can give them more than 24 points because I think we're going to have some tough sledding, but that's fine because our defense is I think, capable of holding them because it's going to be a different game than the Alabama-Georgia game. We're going to run the ball. It's going to be a slower game. But when I look at them compared to Ohio State, I think maybe they run the ball a little better. They don't have the passing game as good. They don't have the receivers like Ohio State had. I think they're better on defense than Ohio State. They're going to run similar stuff to us. They're going to be in a 5-2. They'll have two big outside backers at times. I think against us, we'll see a similar front that we did against Iowa. 5-2, two outside linebackers, two inside linebackers. They'll be in a 4-2 at times. It's another kind of game, Denny, where everybody has to play their best game. We can beat this team, but everybody has to play their best game. We can't have turnovers. We got to just play smart in the kicking game. We got to, again, the same stuff. Stop the run. Don't turn the ball over. Run the ball. Something I wonder what role them having lost. They haven't lost all year. They haven't been challenged all year. Their quarterback hasn't had to make plays at the end of a game to win a game. Our guys have been tested in all ways. They have not, and they're coming off a loss. There's a lot of things and we'll get into the offense and defense here in a minute, but there's a lot of things we'll talk about that I think are shaping up good for the Wolverines.
Yeah, well, I've got some audio I want to play for you to get your response. Antoine's saying he doesn't think Georgia's as good as everyone, thinks they're pretty much killed the weak competition, inflated numbers. They might be fraudulent, decent but not great. And, to Antoine's point here, I don't know, I'm not trying to say they're fraudulent, and I'm not, knocking them down at all. I do look at the schedule here. That first game against Clemson, you thought, oh, man, this is the two heavyweight fights. But Clemson's offense, it proved, and their quarterback, they did not have a great offense. And then after that, you're starting to talk about Arkansas and Auburn, and, Kentucky's got a pretty decent quarterback. Florida, those are the games. They did not play a murderer's row, and when they did come up against a dynamic QB, Bryce Young, he was able to make throws. I think, Cade McNamara, if he can be on point, and that would be more like he played in the second half against Iowa, not in the first where he was off a tick. But if he comes out and he's sharp and he's dealing, and same thing with McCarthy when he comes in, if he's able to throw the ball across the field and down the field and run a little bit, make some plays, that sounds like a recipe to be in the game and have a chance in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, if you look at the quarterback position, the Alabama kid was accurate, but he made a lot of plays with his feet, avoiding pressure. Georgia's going to bring pressure. They do I don't know that they rush real well with the four guys. But they do a lot of stunning. We got to stay out of 3rd and 8, third and long. We got to stay out of those stuff. Denny, offensively, the big thing for me, we got to have a balanced, chaotic, disruptive offensive attack. It cannot be predictable. We got to be able to hit them with Statue of Liberty, bubble pass, power play, zone play, quarterback keep, all the stuff we've been doing. We just can't be, this ground and pound mentality that sometimes people like us in the media talk about. It has to be balanced. The defensive coordinator from Georgia, and those guys are good. They cannot get a beat on what the heck we're doing. So Gaddis, coach of the year, he's got to keep doing the stuff he's been doing, unpredictable, quarterback draw out of empty, double pass, all those things we've been seeing the last couple of weeks. That is the stuff that gives a defense problem. But they have not seen, Denny, a power football team. When I say that, running the power play where we bring two tight ends and we block down and we kick out, and they haven't seen that play. Anybody on their schedule hasn't run that, and that's probably our best play, run play. And Iowa took it away. They did a pretty good job of taking it away. They focused on it though. Let's see if Georgia can stop it. But we got to have a good balance, run and pass, with being unpredictable.
Yeah, that rings true to me. Thinking about some of the plays that Gaddis, and I think he got more comfortable here. He was able to keep those defenses off balance. I go back to that Wisconsin game. They're going to be the best rush defense Georgia is, Michigan's seen since Wisconsin. And, it was the flea flicker to Cornelius Johnson in the fourth quarter. They got Michigan on the board. I mean, it was a thing of beauty. Here it is. Came back, threw it right in there, and they made the play. Against Ohio State, there was the one series where people were saying Gaddis is empty in the playbook, and one of those plays was a big play to Cornelius Johnson down by the goal line and, throwing the ball down there. And, yesterday I was going through because Gaddis, the day before had run the broils for the top assistant, and just thinking about, the play calling and the entire season, Michigan wasn't ground and pound, but they are also a big play offense. And it started in game one, and it continued all the way to the Big Ten championship game when they had Blake Corum going for 67 yards. They had the double pass with Donovan Edwards. And then if you look at the numbers, Michigan did the best in the country at having plays that were 50 or more yards in the country. So, it is a big play offense. And, if they can pop some of those, I have some audio I want you to respond to. Your favorite, Joel Klatt, who was calling the game this past Saturday, he was on the Colin Cowherd show, and Klatt was talking about the possibility. Cowherd was saying, hey, why don't they put JT Daniels in their backup, because he will give them a better chance against the Michigan defense. And here's what Klatt had to say on the Herd about that.
They were lulled to sleep by a schedule that they thought was going to be very tough that ended up not being very tough.
Florida wasn't very good.
That's right. Tennessee wasn't great. Clemson didn't have an offense, basically. And so the schedule that they thought was going to test them, and boy, our defense is incredible, maybe the best effort ever. It wasn't actually tested to that point. So they were lulled to sleep as if they did not need the 2020 into the season version of their offense under JT Daniels.
Good point.
And then all of a sudden they get up against Bama, and it's like, oh, wait, that's right. We did learn that lesson last year, and apparently we went away from it.
So it's just a good thing maybe that people are talking about, that they actually might make a move to go to their other quarterback at JT Daniels, who is a better big play QB than what they have in Stetson Bennett, who runs the offense more, a little pop gun throwing it around. I don't know. What's your feelings on that? The possibility of seeing two, or maybe seeing an outright quarterback switch?
Danny, I coached a long time, and the book that I had on my desk that I always refer to, I'm a big Art of War. Have you ever read The Art of War?
No.
Anyway, it's a guy lived 2,500 years ago. It's military strategy, but he talks about chaos within the enemy's camp. Anytime the enemy has chaos, it's good for us, right? Ohio State, guess what? They fired their defensive coordinator. They hired a new one. That's good for us. Chaos. So right now, hopefully, that's what's going on in their with their offensive coordinator, their head coach, their quarterback coach, is that they are discussing maybe playing two, maybe starting JT. That's good. That's chaos. That's problems. Okay, I've seen JT, and I actually have that in my notes here that, this kid has to be good if he's got JT Daniels on the bench. Because JT Daniels, we saw him play at SC. He's a good quarterback, but he's not mobile. He doesn't run very well. He's an accurate passer, but he doesn't run very well. I'll take either of them. I'm not intimidated by either of them with our defense. In fact, I'd probably rather have JT Daniels because he's more of a statue. So to answer your question, I love the chaos, but getting back to our offense, I want to make a couple points. Our receivers got to get separation. Their secondary is pretty good. That's a big thing. We can talk about our quarterback and what kind of game is he going to have, but the separation the receivers get is really going to help make that a lot easier for our quarterback. But chaos in the enemy's camp is always good.
All right. Well, I don't know what Machiavelli says about, patting your generals on the head, but Joel Klatt, he likes what he sees in Josh Gaddis. And here's a little bit more of Klatt.
I thought that he came into his own this year in a really big way, namely the fact that in past years, I thought he got a little pass happy. And then early this year, it was like, boy, you can tell he's just trying to run the ball as much as possible, 60, 65%. But then at the end of the year, it was like the marriage of the two.
Yeah.
And he used it beautifully down the stretch, in particular against Ohio State, when it's like, don't get bored with something that's working. And so he ran the ball 20 times, only threw it 4 times in the second half, because Ohio State could not defend it. And yet in the previous games, down the stretch, he was throwing the ball 52% of the time, and McNamara was throwing it for over 300 yards. So now all of a sudden they have this combination of the ability to throw the ball and the ability to run and be physical. And I think that combination is going to be difficult for Georgia.
All right. That leads into, you said you want to talk about the quarterback position for Michigan a little bit. That normally is 90% Cade McNamara, 10% J.J. McCarthy. How do you see that split? How do you see Michigan deploying their signal callers in the OB, Orange Bowl?
I would think it would be like what we saw last against Iowa. He's going to play him, and I think it's good. We talked about it.
I know.
Gives him problems, give him conflict. I think Joel is. I think our running game just has gotten better. We've got more experience with our tight ends and our blocking and our scheme 3 years into it. And I think we started the year off, pounding the ball because we could. No one wants to throw really unless they have to. And I think the Harbaugh and Gaddis said, listen, we understand with repetition, we're going to keep getting better and better and better running these same plays, these same run plays, even though the people like us in the media were saying, well, we don't know if they can throw. We don't know if they can throw. They knew they could throw, but they wanted to keep getting better at the run game. And then now, as the year went on, we needed to throw it more, and we got an accurate guy that can do it. I think in the past, in defense of Gaddis, we had to throw. We were more predictable when we were throwing in some of those games we lost, Now we have a little more balance. We're a lot tougher to defend. He's got more stuff in the package. We're a lot tougher team to defend because of all the things we're doing.
Yeah, as I look into your background, I see a picture of your hero, Paul Feinbaum, on in the screen there. Let me play some more audio for you. Do you hear that okay when I play that?
Oh, yeah, I hear it.
Did you hear C.J. Stroud, the Ohio State quarterback, this week?
No, I didn't hear him.
All right, good. So here he is. He's a Heisman finalist. He was talking about the team up north and how sick the Bucks were 2 weeks ago.
And I thought that
that's not him. Here he is.
College football was a weird year this year. You know what I mean? Like, we lost 2 games, and those 2 games, I don't think neither of those teams are better than us, but like you got to give them respect. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, it's not about who's the better team; it's about who plays better that day. And when you take into consideration like what we're going through that week, preparing for the team of North and us, everybody kind of having a flu and things like that. Of course, I don't make excuses, but you got to kind of take that into consideration. It kind of does matter. You know what I mean? So I'll take a hostage. I'll take my brothers against anybody.
All right. Well, there's Stroud. Like a couple things there. He's not making any excuses, but they were sick. They're the better team, but the other team played better than him, so he has to give them the respect. Anything to pull out of there to get angry if you're a Michigan fan listening to Stroud there?
I didn't catch. He said a lot of guys on the team were sick. Is that what he was trying to say?
Yeah, a lot of guys had the flu, and here he talks a little bit more about the preparation. He said they were under the weather for the Wolverines.
Well, you know what?
Let me play it again. Here he is.
I don't think it affected the game plan. I feel like right when I got out there, I felt fine. I don't really notice any my sickness kind of messing with me. But I feel like it does slow you down because it does kind of make you tired in a sense. Because some of those rides I kind of feel really tired more than usual. It could have been the cold. I don't know. There's a lot of things that could have happened, man. I think they lost. I don't know.
He was doing real good when he talked about the better team won on that day and he respects the opponent. He was doing real good until he started coming up with all the excuses about being sick. Let me tell you, anybody who played in that game last week in Ann Arbor had bumps, bruises, tired, sore, sick. Everybody's beat up at that time of year. So you can take all those excuses like that. If he played in the game and he played pretty darn good, that kid played real good.
Right.
He was doing real good until that excuse. But listen, I know what it is to have to deal with that loss. I know what it is having finished with Bo's worst year, 6-6, and have to deal with a bunch of pissed off coaches for the whole winter conditioning, summer. I mean, no one was smiling for months. So get used to it, man. Hopefully we can stick them with that feeling again and keep dominating, start to dominate. But yeah, that's something they got to deal with.
Scar, tell me this: you've seen teams go through bowl preparations, and they've got this over 3 weeks to prepare for Georgia, so they'll have watched all the film backwards and forwards and everything, and they'll develop their game plan. They, not hitting the practice field yet. So when they install things here to Georgia, are they going to go back and, how much are they going to be able to put in that you would say would be new against the Dogs? Because they have a lot of time, and then they have stuff that they've used all year long. How much will go into developing this game plan, and how much can they actually put in against Georgia? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, what we've done for 12 games offensively is what you're going to see. I mean, we've got enough trick plays. Just keep perfecting them. But we know what we do on offense. There might be one or two things that we haven't seen, but I highly doubt it. It's going to be a matter of figuring out what they do, when they do it, who do we want to run, which player do we want to run at, which secondary guy do we want to attack, how do we want to protect, who do we have to give more attention to offensively. But I don't think we're going to see much new stuff. Just, what's the situations and really evaluate the personnel. And from that standpoint, defensively, it's the same thing. We're going to look at 12 games and, there's so many things they've done in 12 games, and you have to try to. And I know Coach Mueller used to talk about chasing ghosts. Chasing ghosts means it might be a play they ran one time, and then he has to decide. And I know this as a coach too. You have to decide, even though they got 3 weeks and 15 practices. What do you want your team to have to think about mentally? Because you want them to focus on the best stuff. And but yeah, you're gonna the guts and glue is gonna be what they've done and what we've done for 12 games.
All right, I'm with you on that. All right, anything else you have written down there that you wanted to point out against Georgia? You've been watching them a little bit, studying. I'm going to go back and watch that SEC championship game. I'm going to see if I can pick out another game in there, maybe the one that was closest. I don't know if they had any other closest one. I do know this, that all year long that you follow college football, and Georgia, is number one, and everybody looked at that defense, and and Klatt even mentioned it. He said greatest of all time, but the numbers that they were putting up is certainly like a once in a decade type defense. But then, and you're asking the question, how do they respond? I mean, the Alabama did not they rolled them up. They rolled this generational defense and they didn't make them look silly, but they certainly didn't make them look like they were some, stout, great defense that, is one for the ages.
Yeah, the Alabama took the pass first mentality. They really got things going with the pass, and then when they started to have success, they ran it. And again, their quarterback made a lot of things happen with their legs. We're not going to get as much from that standpoint, but okay, here's some more things I'm seeing. Their secondary is good in coverage. Again, we got to get separation. They're great tacklers. We'll see similar fronts than what we run from their defense. Their D-line is good. They're outstanding. Everybody talks about that big kid, the All-American kid.
Jordan Davis.
But he don't play much, Danny. He's 400 pounds. He plays 2 plays, then he got to sit out for 3 plays. So that's what's good about that. We're going to see a lot of exotic pressures. Kirby Smart, former Saban guy. He's got Muschamp on the staff, the former Florida coach, South Carolina coach. A lot of exotic stunts and blitzes. Our offensive line has got to be good when they get us in passing situations, because they're going to get a lot of stuff thrown at them, and Georgia does a good job with it. They're going to run zone. They're going to run man. They're going to run 3-deep zone, 2-deep zones. We got to pick it up upstairs. Gaddis has got to see it. Quarterback's got to know what they're doing, when they're doing it, what's the weakness of each zone. But defensively, if you want me to keep going, Danny, and talk about what I see for our defense, they got 2 really good backs. It's again, like Adam said, it's like us. They got 2 good backs. We got 2 good backs. The QB is athletic. He reminds me, another guy that reminds me of the Michigan State quarterback. He's a guy that's just a pain with his ability to run, keep plays alive. He's a good passer, but he's not a great passer, and he'll make mistakes. And I talked about it earlier. This kid hasn't been in a close game where he had to make plays, and he failed in that assignment against Alabama. Every game he's been in, he's been up, so he hasn't felt the pressure. So that's a good thing for Michigan, that he hasn't dealt with the kind of pressure. I think their offensive line is good. They're going to, they run the ball, they run block well. Their zone is a big play for them. We run zone, and they do a good job. 3 guys, again, Danny, that are real key for us. Just like anything, we got to stop the run. But the same thing, man, I say it every week, is 58 Mozzie Smith and 15 Hinton and 94 Jenkins, because I think we're going to see a lot of the same front we did against Iowa. Meaning, 2 big outside backers, Hutchinson, and we might see Harrell again, 32. You might not see as much of Jabo again against this team in certain personnel groupings, because they play a lot of tight ends. We got to know who's in the game, because they got a tight end, a freshman tight end he's probably their main receiver, and he's a big kid. And he's the main guy they look to, but he doesn't really block. He's not like our guys, Shoemaker or Alls, who will actually stick their nose in there and block a defensive tackle. This guy is more of an imposter type. 86 is the big blocker, but we got to know who's in the game. We got to know in passing situations, the freshman, he's a good receiver, 19. He's good, but we got to stop the run first. We got to stop the run and make this quarterback, hopefully make him make some tough throws. And it gets back to tackling in space too. They're going to have similar schemes that we've been seeing all year, but there's nothing out there that says we're going to have trouble tackling these guys. I'd rather go against their receivers than Ohio State's receivers. Okay. But they do have 2 good running backs, and they're tough, and they throw bubble screen with those guys, and they will run a defensive back over.
All right. Tackling in space. They were able to do it against Ohio State. All right, let's get the last 2 things in here. One is the recruiting spotlight. We have signing day coming up here on Wednesday. There's already been some talk this week. I was reading a story last week how, this has just been a few years since they've had split signing days. Now they're talking about with the transfer portal, and this might be the reason that more of the coaches are jumping earlier during the season because of the signing day. So maybe they'll end up pushing it back. But this year, it is coming up on the 15th of December. And Michigan has 20 commitments, and they are ranked number 9 in the Rivals team ranking. So they got a top 10 class. And then just yesterday, they picked up another. It doesn't mean anything for the Orange Bowl, but you know what? It was just good vibes. Scar, Michigan picked up a 4-star linebacker out of Florida, Tallahassee, Raylan Wilson. I looked at a little bit of the guy. Looks like he could play for Michigan in the Orange Bowl. That's how physically he looked as a linebacker. But the thing I liked about it, and the vibes, of course, is he was down to Michigan and Georgia, and he picked the Wolverines. And the Dogs are so great on the recruiting trail. And Kirby Smart, 5 stars left and right, #1 recruiting classes. So Michigan plays Georgia, and the first chance they go head-to-head on a recruit with them, not for this year, but the next year, they end up beating the Dogs. So good vibes with that one.
Yeah, momentum is a big thing, Denny. Momentum. We got momentum going right now. We got to capitalize on it, and that's going to be a factor in recruiting too. And there's a lot of guys. There are a lot of. I played with a lot of guys from Florida, and a lot of them they just want to get away too, man. Some of them want to get away. They want to go up north and play, and it's not an uncommon thing for guys that want to get away. So he's a Florida kid. He wants to get a great education, play with a great school, a great environment. And he's a good looking linebacker. But then we got the big tackle. You saw we got the kid that decommitted from Virginia.
That's right.
And that's a big get there. That's a 4-star kid, 6'8" kid. Everybody wanted that kid. The Ohio State. That's where we want to get. Is when we're beating Alabama and Ohio State and Notre Dame. When we're beating those guys for kids. That's when we really got things going. And we beat all of them on that kid, that big tackle. And he'll be coming in the fall.
Yeah, that's great news. And, you think about some of the size that they have up there already, and then it's not like he's coming in, you're saying, oh, well, a little wet behind you. I mean, he's been on a mission for 2 years, so he's going to be an older guy. And now he hadn't played football, but, 2 years for a lineman, he could come in. We'll see what kind of shape he's in, but that is great news. I'm with you.
Yeah, we played against BYU in the Holiday Bowl back in the day, and there were guys that were 25, 26 years old on that team.
Yeah, Robbie Bosco, I heard, was 35 in that game.
They were old though. Because they were. It was a different deal playing them. But that's a good getting that kid.
Did you sack Bosco?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
I had an interception too.
Oh, you had a pick of Bosco. Yeah, they were going for the national championship, weren't they? Trying.
Yeah, Denny. Let me tell you that we were that team, that Michigan team. We had a good defense. We just couldn't score many points. But that BYU team, we played 4 teams better than them, and they were somehow national champs. We played Miami. Anyway, we could talk about that a whole nother episode, that whole season. But yeah, they were not the best football team we played that year.
All right, so we also do a 60-second memorabilia minute to end things up. Now, I'm guessing you have a million things better than me, Scar. So I asked you, do you have your Army Navy ticket? You said no, it's coming down. You're just going to have it on your phone. Which that's the way things go now, right? Or are you going to get a computer printout? I mean, what else you got? What else you got? Now, if
you want to give me 10 seconds, I go get another picture. How about I get another picture?
Picture. Let's see it. And while you're doing that, I could tell everyone about the deal that we have. And if you're a big Michigan football fan, I should take advantage of a year of the Maize and Blue Review for $20.21. Michigan.rivals.com. Promo code Rivals 2021. New annual subscriptions only. We want to see you there on the Den, on our message boards. We want to see you and have you part of that community. One other thing, when it comes to the podcast, I want you to rate it. I want you to write a review, and I want you to subscribe to that thing. If you're somebody that likes podcasts, if you're listening to the podcast right now and you want to continue to listen to that thing, go in there and leave a review. If you think put whatever review you want in there. Put an honest assessment over there. Same thing with the rating. I'm not telling you to go in there and put a 5-star down. I'm not telling you to go in there and say, you know what, Scarcelli's bringing such great knowledge. It's a can't miss, especially on Thursdays, because we know he's going to be there at 110. All right. The memorabilia minute. Now let's see what we've got there.
Can you make that out, Denny?
You got to kind of tilt it. Oh, right there. There you go. Now let me take a look at that. That looks like Walter Payton. Oh, no. Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh. Who's he playing for there? The
Chicago Bears.
Well, let me ask you this. There are a lot of.
Oh, hang on. He just got a little. He said a couple little thing to me here. To Jim, great player, fine person, good friend, Jim Harbaugh. But I had pictures of a lot of my buddies that were playing in the NFL, and there was a time I wanted my office to have a lot of my old buddies up there, and so I do have a whole bunch of pictures of some of my buddies I played with, and that was one from Jim, and. He was with the Bears. Ditka drafted him first round, and then with the Colts. But that's just a little picture I got hanging there of my old buddy who's now finally brought a championship back to Ann Arbor. So I'm real proud of him.
Yeah, well, put that up on the door instead of Feinbaum. I'd like that one better. Sitting up there. I thought it was cool when they went back to Lucas Oil and you looked up there and you saw Chris Hinton's dad's name up in the Ring of Honor, and then just one down from it was Jim Harbaugh's name for the Colts. I remember the AFC Championship game. I think it was against the Steelers. That he had a Hail Mary there at the end. He threw it down and right at the front of the end zone. I mean, it was very close. He was that close to going to the Super Bowl as a player with that Hail Mary. You could say, hey, it was a Hail Mary, but it was close to being caught from what I remember about Captain Cook back there. And against the Bears, you know what? I still believe it. I know a lot of Michigan fans, they're like, because there were some rumors already popping up. I don't know if it was an NFL show or something. Somebody said, "Oh, what about Jim Harbaugh? For the Raiders job or whatever." And people are dismissing it. No, none of. And I don't know, but I do believe that if the Bears had not made the playoffs last year, I think Jim Harbaugh would have gone to Chicago to be the head coach. That's just my belief. I know Michigan fans don't believe that. I know plenty of the media that were getting information right from people involved with the Michigan football program. They were saying that was not true, but I still believe that. But that's just my belief. What does it matter? We're just talking about it. It's not to tick anybody off or anything else. But it just reminded me seeing Harbaugh in that Bears uniform.
Yeah, I just want to hope. I hope he's our coach till he decides to hang it up and keep bringing some championships home. And
right.
I played against Hinton's dad. He was a great player at Northwestern. He was an outstanding. That's when Northwestern wasn't very good at all, and he was the only guy that was really something special there. But his dad was a great offensive tackle. Well, you know what, Scar? One of these days, maybe we get to the offseason, I can ask you, hey, give me 3 players that, were the toughest to go against. But that's some offseason stuff. We still got games to talk about and, plenty of other things that are top of mind. So you're going to have a great weekend out in New Jersey. You listen to some Springsteen, wear a cutoff Michigan shirt, get over there, watch Army, Navy. Throw back and enjoy yourself. Those guys just going at it for the right reasons. Yeah, we're going to go get a Philly cheesesteak as soon as we get off the plane and be ready to go, man. And looking forward to it. But, yeah, I am feeling, I'm feeling optimistic about this game. When I look at this Georgia team, let's just play our game and let's hope they got some chaos going on in that quarterback room. And those things are good for us. One last question for you, Scar. You're thinking about Harbaugh as a player. I mean, you're a quarterback. You're kind of a coach. You're an extension of the coach. And then you saw his pro career. Did you think – I mean, you knew his dad was a coach. But did you think that that was going to be a transition? Did you think, you know what? I can see it. I think he's going to be a great coach. Did you see that when he was playing? Did you see it when he was a pro? When did you get the idea? Like, oh, you know what? I think he could be a great coach. Well, I think those guys, him and his brother, had a pretty good idea what path they were going to follow. I mean, their dad, I got to know their dad. Great guy, man. What a great guy. Great motivator. You just meet Jack Harbaugh and you come to life. And the boys are the same way. The mothers are great. I got to know them a little bit, and I haven't seen them in a long time, but they're just great people. And Jim and John, I think, knew what they wanted to do. I think they knew they wanted to be coaches at an early age, and you could see that. Normally, quarterback, and I've gone against guys that were quarterbacks, linemen, defense, whatever. Normally, for me, that I've experienced, I want to go against quarterbacks who are coaches because all they want to do is throw the ball, right? And they don't want to play defense. All they want to do is throw. Usually, they're not good coaches. But Jim understands the whole game. He gets it. He's been around his dad. He gets it. Him and his brother understand, you better have a defense. You better have a run game. So those guys get the big picture, and I'm always cheering for the Ravens, and wherever Jim has been playing, I've been cheering for.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And, John jumping from a special teams coach, to head coach isn't lost, I'm sure, on Jim, the importance of special teams. And Bo probably had an influence on him as well. We can just keep going, down the list there of maybe why he doesn't want to throw the ball every time. Good stuff, Scar. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for being on here. It's always a wealth of information. It's invaluable. Thanks so much.
Go Blue.